Hare Krishna everyone. I am Kavya Budhiraja and I welcome you all to being Krishna conscious. The question that we are going to deal with today is extremely important, and I get this query asked a lot that what is the way to become Krishna conscious? We always talk about that we should become Krishna conscious, we should become spiritual, but what is the practical approach? What does it really mean to become a spiritual person? What does a Krishna conscious person actually do? What is his mindset like? So, in this video, we'll try to focus on all these things while also understanding the philosophy behind the same. Hare Krishna, let us begin with the video. So, how to become Krishna conscious? Well, to understand that, let me tell you that there are three levels of evolution. Starting with the lowermost level, animals. Above than animals, there are human beings. And above than that, it is Krishna consciousness or spirituality. So, why did I differentiate between animals and human beings? Is there any differentiation? Is there any difference between the two? Well, let me tell you that what does Srimad Bhagavad Gita firstly talks about regarding the commonalities between animals and human beings. We all know that even science considers human beings as animals. But what is the verdict of Shastras here? So, Shastras, Bhagavad Gita, it says that there are four common things between animals and humans. Now, what are these four common things? First is sleeping. We sleep, they sleep. Second, eating. We eat, they eat. Third, mating. We procreate and they also procreate. And fourthly, defense. We defend and they also defend. The only difference is that we as human beings do those same things but in a sophisticated way. For example, they can sleep anywhere and at any time. But we need proper bedding, we need pillows, bed sheet, proper hygiene to be maintained. Nextly, eating. We require a lot of varieties. But if we see birds on the other hand, they will be satisfied even with a little piece of fruit. Now, thirdly, procreation. Now, even for having that physical union with our partner, we arrange for a lot of things. For example, we plan for a honeymoon trip after the marriage. We also plan for a lot of different arrangements. On the other hand, if we take example of animals, they can have it at any time and at any place. Fourthly, defending. When animals are fighting on streets in the most traditional way possible, we on the other hand, as human beings, are fighting legal cases, property cases, or we're fighting kidnapping cases in courts and police stations. So we can see that the things are same, but the way of doing them is different. In human beings, it is more sophisticated. So these were the four common things between animals and human beings. But if we have kept human beings at a higher pedestal than animals, then there has to be some difference as well. What does Bhagavad Gita say upon this? Well, it says that there is a fundamental difference between animals and human beings in the sense that human beings have the capability to distinguish between right and wrong and choose amongst them. This is missing in the consciousness of animals. Yes, human being knows, or at least he has the potential to know what is right and what is wrong, and then he also has the right to choose what is right. And depending upon that choice that the human being does, this differentiates him from an animal. So if we are only engaged in these four activities, sleeping, mating, eating and defending, and we're not really concerned about our consciousness, our ability to choose between right and wrong, if we are not choosing what is right, then how better are we from animals? So this consciousness has to be developed. Let me give you a popular example. We talked about the third common thing, which is procreation, having sexual union with the partner. Well, today there is a culture known as no strings attached or one night stand, no conditions applied. So, even the animals are doing this. Animals, they don't get married, they don't give any commitment, they always have a one night stand and they do not have any strings attached. And we as human beings, if we are doing that particular thing in the sense of those animals, then how better are we? Are we really able to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong? Are we able to follow the footsteps of great leaders, of great acharyas, of ideal personalities that we all idealize? This reminds me of a beautiful historic incident in the life of Sripad Aindra Prabhu. In his pre-Krishna conscious life, as in when he was living his material life in Virginia, America, so when he firstly came in contact with the devotees gave him Srila Prabhupada's book entitled Beyond Birth and Death. You know, there's a beautiful cover page of that book in which a skull is made. And the first line of that book said that you're not the body, you're the spirit soul. Now, this came in as a shock to Sripad Aindra Prabhu. At that time, he was known as Edward Stryker. So, Edward Stryker was very much shocked, and after constant association of the devotees, he further read that book. When he made up his mind to move into the temple, he asked the girl that he was living with at that time that you should also come with me and go to the temple. At that time, that girl said to Eddie Stryker that you cannot move into the temple because I have not enjoyed you enough. So, this is what she said. And the moment she said this, Sripad Aindra Prabhu related to the line that Srila Prabhupada had written in that book, Beyond Birth and Death. That line was, love in this material world means lust. And lust means mutual gratification of senses. And when that gratification of senses is missing, relationships break. And he thought that the book was not just talking in the air, it was actually making sense. And it further said that such persons are sophisticated, two-legged animal. Now here comes the distinction between animals and human beings. If human beings are only engaged in those activities without choosing what is right and what is wrong, they are merely sophisticated, two-legged animal. Now coming back to the levels of consciousness that we were originally discussing, the lowermost level, as we have already understood, comprises of animals. Above than that, human beings. Now Prabhupada says that what does it really mean to become a human being? He says that a human being must live a simple life, which means that he must not work like an ass. Why? Because when he lives a simple life, he devotes some time for himself, for introspection, for ascertaining what is the purpose of his life, which means that the topmost level of consciousness, or which is becoming a spiritual person, it starts with asking yourself the question, who am I? What is my purpose? Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Our spiritual life begins when we start to inquire about oneself and why is he really here? What is the purpose of life? We have to understand that whatever we are doing in life, there is one common goal of all of us, which is to become happy. I want to become an advocate to become happy. I want to become a teacher to become happy. I want to serve the society so that I may be satisfied and happy. So the ultimate goal is to become happy. But we can see that despite earning a lot of money, the big CEOs of big multinational companies, even they are not happy. Even film actors and actresses, they are going into depression. They are being so unhappy. There is so much of sadness in society. So we really need to understand what is the cause behind it. I am doing so much of work. I am working like an ass to become happy, but it is not really giving me any satisfaction or happiness, so to speak. Then am I doing something wrong? Well, this is what spirituality answers. something which is beyond the material conception of life, something which is beyond our material senses, something whose experience will only tell us what real happiness is. So, spirituality starts with the question. It starts with Athato Brahma Jigyasa. When I start having jigyasa, or when I start having curiosity or desire to know about the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Light, and what is my relationship with Him. If I am related to that Supreme Lord in any way, then what am I doing here? Is there any Supreme Personality? Does He have any Akar? Is He Sakar or is He Nirakar? How is it that He is able to see me when I am not happy? He calls Himself our Supreme Father in the Bhagavad Gita, but which father sees his son to be unhappy? Well, all these questions are asked a lot to a lot of people, including me. So, it all starts with when you start to inquire about Him. And when you start to develop this curiosity about knowing about that Supreme Brahman, that is when you will start your journey of realizing yourself, of having self-realization. And that is the very purpose of this human form of life. Because we are searching for happiness, but we are not getting any happiness. It means that we are searching for happiness, which is the right thing, but in the wrong place. So let us try to deviate the place a little bit. The happiness that we were trying to find in the material world, which we are not able to find anyway, let us try to change or shift the place from the material world to spiritual world, and let us try to observe that if we get real happiness that we are really searching for. This concept is very easy to understand. In the Brahma Samhita, Brahmaji says that Lord Sri Krishna, that Parameshwar, is made up of Sat, Chit and Ananda. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha, Anadi Radir Govinda, Sarvakaran Karanam. So if Krishna is made up of Sat, Chit and Ananda, and in the Bhagavad Gita he says that all the living entities are my part and parcels and I am their Supreme Father, and we know that children are always like his father, then it means that we are also made up of, our spirit soul is also made up of Sat, Chit and Ananda, our real self. Then if we are made up of Ananda, why is it that we cannot find any Ananda in this world? That is because we are searching for Ananda in the wrong place. We are searching for happiness in the wrong place. So we need to shift the place for searching this particular happiness, which is permanent, long lasting and eternal. And this is why there are 3 levels of evolution, starting with animals. Above than that, it is human beings or evolved consciousness, in which we have ability to distinguish right from wrong and choose the right, which is missing in animals. And even higher than that, it is spiritual. Being spiritual, Athato Brahma Jigyasa, when we start to inquire about our real self, that is the most developed consciousness that we can have, so that we can take decisions rationally, logically, and backed with proper reasoning. So, this was the ladder of becoming a spiritual person. Well, it is for all of us to understand and analyze ourselves as to in which particular step are we on right now. Is it the lowermost step, which is animals? Second step or the middle step, human beings, in which we have developed the ability to distinguish between right and wrong, and we are also able to choose the right out of it. And even higher than that is spirituality. So we can analyze ourselves, we can take some time, we should try to introspect, and again, then we should try to act upon it. Now, this was the way to evolve or elevate ourselves to the topmost step of this ladder of evolution. But how to do that practically? What are the principles that we should adhere to? Or what are the steps that we should follow? How to develop faith in the Supreme Lord? Why should we chant? And all of these things, which are practical ways to become spiritual, I have already covered all of those in a lot of videos, the link of which I would be putting in the description box below. So that could also be checked out. And I wholeheartedly hope that we are able to ascertain as to where are we standing right now, what is our goal, how should we go about it, and what plan could we adhere to in order to get to the most evolved level of consciousness, which means to become a spiritual person. Hare Krishna, Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam, Jai Jai Srila Prabhupada, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.